In this quick video, we're going to see how we can place down the rest of the structures in our level and match the terrain to it and build out critical path stuff such as gates and walls. So I'll show us everything that we need to do for this part of the project. Alright, so I think the first thing to do is to create a new template group, and let's call this structures. And we're going to place our custom house under that structure, and we'll go in and I'm going to bring up my prefabs, go to my folder that has all the prefabs for, let's see, houses, and let's just grab some pre-made houses. And I'm going to build out these market houses right here. So we'll place our alchemist house in the grid. So this house will kind of have potions and stuff for sale. So make sure when you're moving a whole prefab that you don't double click it, just single click the whole prefab. If you click again on a part in the prefab, it'll select that particular part. So we're just going to take this house and align it. You can use the snap vertice tool to snap to a vertice on the ground of our terrain mesh. So that's one house down. I'm going to now start hiding my houses as I place them. And I'll have to go in and tweak this terrain a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and place the rest of these houses right here so I can show us how we'll do that. So there's another way where you can place things in the scene. You can drag it straight to the scene window, and it might be a quicker way to start placing things. So you can see that the blacksmith house is right here. Let's deactivate that gray house and place it like so. So you can see that there are floors in these houses, but they're being covered up by terrain. So we'll have to go and fix that. Alright, so I got all my main structures from our marketplace area fixed. Now we need to kind of come in and adjust the terrain so that it fits nicely. Now, you could try to hand sculpt and smooth out the terrain to be perfect, but we have a nice little workflow in which we can position our house to where we think it should be. And we know where it should be because remember when we made our terrain in the first place, we set its height value to 100. So that number directly relates to the units in the world. So if we select all of our prefab city structures, and if you know the height in which the area should be, you can set that to 100, and now they'll all be aligned on the 100 level. And then we come in with select our terrain, grab our brush, set height, set your height back to 100. Now we can go in and set your opacity and brush size rather big. Now we can go in and start ensuring that our market area is at the complete right elevation for these houses. All right. Very nice. So let's go in and examine our handiwork. When we get a little far away, we can see that the floor and the ground kind of have a thing going on. So just to ensure that my prefabs are never going to have the ground kind of appear to be in top, I'm going to go over to my inspector and do a 0.1. And I think that distance will be enough to, oh, maybe a little too high off the ground. Let's try a 0.01. We want it just high enough. Let's try 0.05. Yeah, let's just do 0.05 off the ground. And then, I mean, really what really matters is our FPS controller. Always test your game. Don't rely just on the camera view. And there we go. Floors look great in all of these. This is a barn, so it has natural floor. And let's move away to see if the ground becomes an issue. Yeah, I think that's more of a rendering issue. All right. So looks pretty good. So now that our marketplace is done, let's look and see how we can help out over here. Now, there's two ways in which we can attack this. We can either put houses that have nice thick foundations on them, so they're raised up and can handle irregular terrain, or we can find the height value of this gray box house and flatten the ground accordingly to that height value. But there's something tricky here. You'll notice that when I select this prefab, that if we look in our inspector, it's grouped under gray box. Okay, and if we select gray box and go to its height value over here, we can see that this object is set at 100 height, and this object contains our house template right here, but its Y height right here is only 15.4. So what we need to do is either add up our Y in both objects, or just to make things simple, you can de-group it for a second. You can see that it's outside of our gray box, and it'll go ahead and give us the accurate Y distance there. So that number, the Y distance right there, is very important to know, because when we take our terrain and go to set height, we can go to 115 right here, which is the basic height of our house, and we can flatten the land down around it. Now if we select our gray box right there and set its height is exactly 115, we can see that it's got pretty much even ground all the way around it, like it's been excavated for a perfect foundation for that house to sit on. So that's how you can adjust terrain for weird elevations. You either compensate for it like humans would by building a foundation that takes care of the height differences, or you go in and you make the earth match for you. So I'm going to go ahead and place the rest of my houses down. I'm just going to choose whatever houses I want from my simple prefabs. This is just a quick way to help you build out your house. I'm not going to require you to make every house custom, but you may want to kind of figure out what kind of houses you want to do. You want to just have a town full of sheds? I'm going to do small houses. This is kind of like a seaside. Let's set our height to 115. There we go. And we'll rotate accordingly. And I'll deactivate that. That's a nice little house there. And let's do a big house here. That's a tavern. Maybe let's do a little townhouse. We'll rotate it so its doors are facing us. This is a pretty good choice for a irregular shaped, because the steps can just go into the ground there. So I'm going to place this. That's a pretty flat place. I'm actually going to place this up here where I know I'm going to need something to solve for the craziness. Maybe push it a little bit forward. You can see it's kind of coming into that ground. So I'm not going to edit the ground too much here. I'm just going to position it to where the steps look good. And there we go. Now, I have this house up here stuck into the rock. That's going to be a challenge to make work, but I'm always up for it. Let's see, what kind of house would look good suspended up? Probably a small house. Definitely not a clock tower. Let's go to small houses. Let's see. Something that's not quite regularly shaped. Let's do this one. Oh, I think I'm going to undo placing that in. I'll just place this up in there. Yeah, it's got a back door on it. Maybe we'll do something like this. Maybe I won't go quite as high as that originally suggests. All right. And let's see. I guess I need to build a base underneath it. So let's see what kind of prefabs we have where I can do that. So I found that some watchtower stuff may be the best route to go because they have these nice fences. So let's bring in some fences and see if we can get this to work for us. I'll use a combination of these fences. Let's do a local rotation. And I think vertex snapping would be a tool here to use. So let's snap the bottom of that wood to there, just so we can get a better starting point on how to attach. And then we have an issue with the door, so we need to build some kind of outcropping porch there. I think we kind of have a platform piece right here. And maybe we can I think what I want to do is bring it in, get it facing normal. We'll duplicate it. I'll do a -1 in the Z direction to flip it, and then stick them together. And then I'm going to select both of these little platforms here and go and position them in front of the house. Maybe do it this way. And also give me something to start building the platform of this house off of. There we go. Just try to get it right in the middle of that doorway. Now we can adjust this guy right here. So I'm just doing what I can with the assets provided, and then I'll help get the terrain to match a little bit. And what I need is a post right there, and I think I remember. Let's type in post. There we go. And make sure to select the prefab dock post. I wonder if there's a single dock post. Iron fence post. There we go. Deck railing post. I'm just going to bring it into the scene. Let's make it a little bit thicker. And then we can start making this a believable structure by placing some posts. I really wanted to kind of capture that mountainside feel. And some nice kind of rustic. Well, the earth isn't the most convenient, but we're going to make it work anyway kind of mentality. I don't want to stretch it too much. There we go. And what I'm actually going to do right here is just I'm going to dupe this all the way down like it needed that extra bit of structure. Almost like a little watchtower. You know what? I think I'm going to delete this bottom one right here. Now's the time to kind of start. I think I got one side done, so I'm going to grab my terrain and I'm going to manually sculpt it this time. So let's get a small brush going. There we go. Maybe push that back down. Let me get a brush size of 5. Push that down with shift. And then let's go to smooth height. Get that smoothed out. And then I'm going to go back to smooth height. This time I need the opacity to be very weak. So I can just, or I guess a 1 will do it. Just so I can get that looking okay. Alright. So I got the house going. I need to finish this up. So I'm going to pause this and finish building this out. Alright, so I've built out the structure around here and I'm kind of getting the idea that I had. You know what? I think we might need to place a few more supports under here. I guess we need to kind of position them first. Just get them rotated the right way at least. And I'm on local instead of world right here. That'll help us kind of push it in the direction that these fence posts are facing. Live here at your own risk. But of course, I imagine this area of town is kind of where all the caretakers for the chapel and all that stuff live. So they're not gonna be doing the best anyway. And we'll just duplicate it down. All right, and my two last things I need to do is, wow, look at that look at that hierarchy right now. It's a mess. Before I take care of that, I'm going to select my terrain and just do a little bit of sculpting so it matches just a little bit better. I'm going to set my opacity to 0.1 or 0.2 so I have ultimate control over what's going on. And I'm just going to make the terrain meet what I have built a little bit better. push this down a little bit. Probably need to take care of that grass. Definitely don't want the ground colliding into. And let's go to smooth height with a 0.5 strength. Wow. Looks like we need a little bit more than that. Let's do a 5. And let's take care of all this. There we go. Let's raise it a little bit right here. Oh, that's what a strong opacity will do. And then smooth it back down just a little bit. I had to up my opacity for that to register. And let's take care of some of that grass that's in the way here. So I'm going to grab the grass brush that I used and just press Control. And I'll just delete some of that grass that's obviously like intersecting into the building. Very cool. And now we're going to make a new template game object here. Remember our template group, that's just there to be duplicated. And let's call this mountain side houses. And I'm just going to take a selector and everything that's a part of this right here, I'm just going to dump it into mountainside houses. And if I can test to make sure it's all there by turning it on and off, and place mountainside house and structures, grab my apothecary, chapel, barn, clock tower, and small house, put them in structures. Go back and really go in and clean up your hierarchy as many times as you can. And now that I have a structures layer or structures group, I'm going to go into layers, edit layers, structures. So a little bit of house cleaning. We'll select our layer to be structures. Yes, change children. And now any structure that I've put down, I can lock or hide on and off. Oh, well, we can see that that's really dumb. So I'm going to grab my smooth height. So it might be a good idea to kind of come in and turn things on and off just so you can see how the geometry is working a little bit better. And you can see some grass clumps can't handle the elevation right there. So I'm going to go in and kind of just delete those out. We don't want to break the illusion. So if you see some stuff that doesn't really adhere to the terrain too well, there's no shame in getting rid of it. Oh, that's a big problem right there. Let's see. Let's raise our height a little bit. Opacity of 1, maybe, so we don't blast off. And smooth height with an opacity of 3, maybe. Let's try 4. There we go. It's getting real tricky. Do this perfect. There we go. We'll have some grass growing up on those steps. All right, and the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to move my first person controller over there. I'm going to hold down the V key so I can snap it to the terrain. Oh, looks like it snapped through the water down there. There we go. I'm just going to press play. Looks like things work. Doesn't look too bad. Let's see what it looks like from far away. Nice. My idea was to have kind of like this wooden structure, kind of like this, all the way up this hill, where people have just built houses any elevation that they could. All right. So next, all that's left to do is keep populating my houses, put in walls that are critical to the outline of this level, and leave any kind of decorations like, these decorations came with the house. So anything that's kind of like this, that's just for show, we're going to tackle that next chapter. What we're going to focus on is creating your custom house right here and creating your unique interior house right there, populating the rest of your town with pre-made houses, and building out the walls and other big structures in your scene. All right. Thanks, guys. Good luck. Have fun.